Hello everyone. Now that I got my little space here all cleaned up, I think it's time that we take a look at a smaller little project, that being my benchtop multimeter over here. The interesting thing is that this thing contains batteries, which somehow still work despite this thing probably being from the 1980s, but it's probably not going to be working for very long because you see that battery, it says BT over there. My guess is that's probably the low battery indicator because it didn't light up when the batteries were a bit better, but now I guess they've worn down enough to the point where the BT icon appears. And so what I'm gonna do is replace the batteries inside with some more modern, safer batteries. Let's remove this screw over here. Maybe pause. So that screw right there is removed, and incidentally, there is the mains input jack for recharging the battery, or I guess it's less like recharging and more like just keeping it charged. But anyway, let's go ahead and maybe move this thing up a bit so that it's a bit out of the way. And let's start to separate the cover from the front panel. And of course, all of the internals will be attached to the front panel. This might require some elbow grease. Maybe it needs to be a little bit... All right, well, we'll pause again. That's better. So, here are the lovely internals of this thing. Man, what a sight to behold. So there's the transformer right there, which of course steps down the mains voltage to a much more reasonable voltage. And there is the battery pack, which will need to be removed. It has its own little connectors, and now I'm gonna have to, dislodge it. There it is, and here are two battery cells. And if I take them out, you will see that, you won't see much of anything on it, but these right here are most likely nickel-cadmium cells, and in fact, let's measure the voltage of these using the multimeter kit I built. So let's turn it to 20 volts and measure the voltage at this battery pack. 1.34 volts. Wow. Let's try each cell. So this one right here is apparently it's 1.3 volts. Don't mind the negative. I just put this in reverse. And the other one is completely dead. And yeah, this is nickel cadmium. It says so right there. So it looks like this cell right here is completely dead, and this one is functional, I guess, but look at all that crust over there. That can't be good. So let's go ahead and put this out of the way, and I'm going to replace it with fresh high-capacity AA nickel metal hydride batteries and a battery pack for them all. And the battery pack, unfortunately, does not seem to fit inside the original. Well, I guess it does fit, but it'll be sticking out a little too far, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this. But anyway, let's go ahead and pop these batteries in there. These are nickel metal hydride, which is very similar chemistry to nickel cadmium. And now here are the two wires, and let's go ahead and take the old battery, cut off those old wires, and put this to the side. I'm going to have to, I'm going to keep this because I don't want to dispose it improperly. What is better than using your own house as the landfill? So let's strip these wires so that they can be soldered to. Apparently that size was a bit too big. I might need... There you go. So those are the little connector wires, and now they're going to have to be soldered there and there. So let's get to that. I removed the rest of the multimeter because, of course, that's getting in the way. So let's just twist everything together, or twist these two. Actually, maybe they don't even need to be twisted together. I can just solder it straight like that. Maybe trim this a little bit so that the two wires are closer in length. Yeah. Let's get some solder. Turn on the fume extractor. Tin this bit. Tin that bit. Now these can be melted together. That's one connector, and the other one. Funny how the red of this cable is significantly more towards the pink side than the red of the battery cable. But anyway, that's the battery pack hooked up to these little connectors. And let's go ahead and try it on the multimeter unit. So let's go ahead and plug these in. Incidentally, it says plus right there, so that's how I know that I need to plug it in right there. That looks good. And this one also looks good. So now let's turn this on. Nice. The display even appears to be a bit sharper too. So let's go ahead and put some tape over those contacts so that they don't touch and short out. Yeah, masking tape isn't the best for this sort of job, but it gets the job done. It's not like this is high voltage anyway. But anyway, let's see if there's any way that I can mount this this battery pack on there. I mean, it does have some screw holes down there, so I guess I could drill some holes in that board over there, screw that on with the screws, and then mount it. But I mean, it's probably not going to be best to drill through this board. Although to be fair, there are no traces back there, so I guess I could screw in there if I wanted to. You know what? Let's do that, because there isn't really any better way. This box right here is too small to contain the batteries. Using a hand-powered drill, of course, because me no like big scary tool. Yeah, I probably could have done it a little bit straighter, but at least the holes line up with the holes on the battery pack, which is what I care about. But anyway, I'm going to now select some screws and nuts to see if I can find something that will suit this specific doodad. Well, unfortunately, it seems like I have only one nut which will fit the diameter of the screw that I will use, but I do not really care. All I care about is that it's held in place. Don't really care if it pivots a lot while it's flapping around in the breeze over there. But anyway, there is the screw that's poking through. Let's go ahead and add that nut. If you can see it. Now let's tighten it. It is now well tightened. In fact, you couldn't really even tell that there is a single screw just by friction and stuff. But anyway, let's go ahead and add those two batteries back. And I am starting to realize that these massive wires flopping about definitely is not ideal, especially with this delicate ceramic substrate board, which they might chip. So I think I'm going to go ahead and shorten those wires off camera. Alright, that's better. Now they aren't flopping around in the breeze as much anymore. But anyway, I'm going to take one last peek at all these beautiful internals, and then we're going to put this thing back together. So yeah, now it works well without the battery indicator lighting up.